Part 2, Chapter 7, Understanding Your Client's Needs. Have you ever bought a product or service that was not exactly what you had been looking for? There is every likelihood that at least one of these three possible reasons is involved. Number one, the salesperson was well trained to sell it at all costs. Case like this makes us buy whatever is being sold so that we can just get rid of them, leaving us with feelings like anger and frustration for having fallen into their sales trap. 2. The salesperson was excellent at personal marketing. They promise us something which seems to be a unique, one in a lifetime opportunity. We fall for that because it sounds simply irresistible. The problem here is that the product or service turns out to be more marketing than actual content. 3. The salesperson was not prepared to actually listen to us, to what we were seeking at the negotiation moment. Because of that, they end up selling us something that does not meet our needs, however well intentioned the salesperson could have been. Can you recognize these types? Now, before we get into this idea a little deeper, ask yourself which cases you have fallen for more times. The first step of avoiding falling into such traps is to understand where they are and to acknowledge how they get to us. So, as to deal with the first type of salesperson, we have to learn how to say a hard no, putting ourselves first, regardless of how insistent they might be. Dealing with the second one, however, may not be so black and white. We need to be able to ask ourselves how fascinated we are feeling by that speech, as they use subtleties that we may not be prepared for. One strategy I use when I feel too involved by something apparently miraculous, magical, unforeseen, is to give myself a day or two before buying it. In the meantime, I use the internet to try and find complaints, people commenting on the product or service. I use the means I have to ensure I will make a good decision. Sometimes, just by waking up the next day, I tend to feel different about that offer. Our intuition tends to be more alert first thing in the morning. Have you noticed that? The third time of wrong purchases has to do with the salesperson's lack of preparation, irrespective of how well intentioned they might be. They are so focused on what they have to say that they will not listen to what we need. One way of dealing with them is to be able to ask them good questions, for they will have to offer us useful answers. Either they will have to listen to us in order to understand where we are heading from these questions, or we ourselves will see that their product or service is not for us. Okay, now we can put ourselves in the client's shoes. How about using this understanding to help us become excellent teachers to be for our potential clients? At the beginning of our relationships with our potential students, we have to understand what they are looking for, as well as their struggles in their learning process so far. There are clients who are well aware of what they are searching for, whereas there are others who just want to learn the language, having no idea of how. What do we have to do then? We have to be able to carry out a detailed needs analysis. The more questions you ask your prospective students, the easier it will be to understand their learning journey until that point, as well as their frustrations, hopes, goals. Here are some possible questions you can ask to help you get connected with them. 1. Start asking them about their work and family. People love to talk about themselves. It will help them feel more at ease with you. 2. Ask them in what situations they use the language or would like to use the language, but have not been able yet. Here you have an idea of what their dreams about the language are. 3. Ask them if not knowing the language has ever affected a possible promotion at work, or if it has made any of their relationships harder. My experience tells me that most people who are likely to say they are not cut out for learning a language have faced some levels of difficulties as a consequence of knowing it. Here, you have a grasp of possible pains or even traumas, depending on the level of their struggles and the level of the comfort they might be feeling with you so far. Remember that connections play a pivotal role in relationships. 4. Ask them how the intended language is inserted in their private lives. For instance, if they listen to music or watch movies or series in the language, if they read articles, or if they follow pages on social media in the language. Here you'll be able to feel if they are more independent learners because they try to be in touch with the language even without a teacher. On the other hand, if they have zero contact with the language, you feel that this student might need a closer guidance along their learning journey with you. 5. Ask them why they are coming to you in particular. Here, you will be able to understand what they are expecting to get out of your classes that they have not gotten from other schools or teachers yet. Refrain from speaking ill of institutions or methods they might mention. Instead, be positive by telling them nothing they have learned is lost. Everything is safe in their memories. Reassurance will bring them closer to you. 6. Some teachers tend to start all this analysis with this question: how long have you studied the language? I myself like to leave it to the end, oftentimes not even asking it, depending on the flow of the conversation, as well as the connection created. Does previous learning time matter anyway? These are a few ideas to help you create your own needs analysis. As you start getting more experienced, you feel you won't even need to refer to your notes anymore, as you do it naturally, feeling your client. Remember to take into account the type of salesperson you want to be. The secret of successful relationships is to be able to listen to one another above all.